Olga Golden Child. So I'm about to sleep. I said, let me show you what you're supposed to do. So this is VS Code. If you don't have it, you should download it. You come to the top of the screen, press terminal, new terminal. It opens this, then you press that arrow so it fills up the screen. To take it down, you press it down, back, press it down, back. So that's how it works. Most times VS Code works well with Linux commands, so hopefully yours works well with Linux command. So I will create a folder. To create a folder, okay, first of all, let me show you my homepage. This is my homepage now. I want to create a new folder. I will call it Linux. All right, I want to create a new document. I will call it, okay, I can't even create a new document. So let me come here and create it. CD means to go into a folder. Don't worry for now. So let me create a new document using touch index. Let me call it Linux dot t. Let me not do that now. So CD desktop, I'll explain everything just now. Let's do CD Linux. So we're inside our Linux folder now. We're inside this folder. When I did that CD Linux means enter. You know we are inside the Linux folder when I do touch. Let me call it linux.py. So I've created that file, linux.py. If I do ls to list all the content in that folder, you see linux.py. So if I come here, see linux.py inside the folder. You understand? Because we're inside this folder, everything we are doing is happening here now. Initially, when I logged in, we were in my computer. I had to navigate to the desktop. So you use CD. CD means change directory. So another name for folder is directory. So basically, we are changing the folder to desktop folder, and here we are changing the folder to the Linux folder. Right now, we are inside the Linux folder. Right now, we created a Linux file, and we use the touch command to create it. Now, if you ls, you will see the Linux file. If you go to this is the Linux folder now, you can see the Linux file. Another way to create a file is not just by using touch. You can use code. Let's call this linux.txt. If I press enter, it has created a file called linux.txt here. Right? Let me call it this is Linux. I save it with Ctrl X. So it is saved. I close it now. Now, because I use that code Linux, VS Code has minimized this because VS Code prioritizes documents over command. So it pushed the terminal down. I'll have to push it back up. All right. If I do ls now, I have both linux.py and linux.txt. So touch created, code created. But the good thing about using code is that it opens it in VS Code. It opens the file here. Remember, touch did not open the file. So if I come here, I have both linux.py and linux.txt. If I double tap on this file now, see, this is Linux. So Linux command basically just helps you to use code to do things that normally you do on the GUI, graphical user interface. Instead of coming here to double tap all the time or right clicking to create new folder, you just do everything here. If you want to create a new folder inside the Linux folder, you can do mkdir folder 1. We do ls now, we see it. Folder 1. If we come back here, it's here, folder 1. I hope you know where this is. How we got here, we double tapped on this. And we'll come here, that's it. So basically, that's that. Now, if you want to see, if you do ls-l, you can see more details about the files in your folder. Now, this D here means this is a directory, also known as a folder. Now, Because these ones don't have D, it means they are files. If I create another folder, mkdir, and call it Gattuso folder, if I do ls-l again, you see Gattuso has D in front of it because it is a folder and not a file. So if you come here, Gattuso is a folder. Now I can create more than one folder at the same time. I can do mkdir. Mkdir means make directory, in other words, make folder. I can create more than one folder at the same time. I can create a folder called Messi, Iniesta. How do you spell Iniesta again? Is it ETA? Okay, and Xavi. Right? If I do ls-l, you see, all of them starts with D. They're all directories. If you come here, they're all here. So I created 3 folders at the same time with a simple command. All right? Imagine how the difference that makes. Instead of coming here, right-clicking this, typing 1, typing 2, typing 3. That's the difference between Linux and using the GUI. With a simple command, you can do a lot of things at once. Is there any other thing I've not done? Like for example, when we created the linux.txt, you can use concatenation cat linux.txt to see the content. All right. See, this is Linux. That's what is inside it. So we did not have to open it in a code, in a file, all right, to see it. All right, so basically that's that. I always encourage people to run their commands inside the VS Code terminal because you can edit your codes better here instead of using editors like Vim or Nano. They are good, but I don't like to use them. Nano linux.txt. If I press enter, see, this is an editor as well. It's just that you can't move your cursor around like this by tapping. You have to move it one after the other in order to write. All right. So if I press Ctrl X, I press yes, which is Y, and I press enter, it saves. Now if I do cat, it's showing me everything. But if I use the code I used the other time, code linux.txt, right? Yep, it opens the code editor where I can move the cursor anywhere I want to move it. All right, and this is an easier, which is why I prefer this way. All right. Now let's take it back up again. Now the reason I'm taking it back up and down is because I know you're probably using a Windows computer. If you are using a Mac, you don't have to do that. You just come here, press this, come here, move that terminal to editor area, and then it's here. You can now close this. So everything can open side by side. If I do code Linux again, it will not close my terminal. It will just come over here, and my terminal is still up here. So I think Windows doesn't have that functionality, which is why it is better for people to buy a Linux computer. One of the things I don't like about people that teach Linux is they talk about the history a lot before they teach you what Linux is about. I hate it with passion. Because most times when people come to learn Linux, they're trying to get a job. And then the one Linux fanatics that worship Linux, Traveled, I think that's his name, just start giving you the history. Like, how is the history going to help me do this job that the deadline is in 5 hours? Right? So I like to go straight to the point. If anybody's interested in the history of Linux computer, they can go and read it somewhere. Right? So don't fall in love with any tool in IT. Just see them for what they are. They are all tools. Tomorrow something will come that's better, and you will not be using what you're using right now. Yeah. So learn not to fall in love with any IT tool. Nothing. Linux is one of those things that a lot of people believe can never be replaced because it's basically the infrastructure of the internet. But For beginners, overloading them with information, especially the history of how it was first of all Unix and it's now Linux, is just really annoying for someone who just wants to know what he can use Linux for and go. All right. Now I'm going to stop teaching here. I will send you to my GitHub profile. So this is my GitHub profile. This link, right? I'll paste it in the description of this video. So when you come here, click on this link and you come here, scroll down here. If you read everything here, it will guide you and help you understand the main commands that Linux teaches. For example, if you come here, the first command we have here is sudo. The sudo command, you read, oh, the sudo command does this. Now, if you run this code, it may not work for your Linux computer because sudo apt works with Ubuntu. Yeah, so there's some code that work with Ubuntu. Linux is not Ubuntu. I think Linux is Debian or something. All right, so this screenshot here is me using AWS. So I opened an Ubuntu EC2 instance, and that's where I ran the code, which is where I ran, and I posted a screenshot. If you run sudo apt update on your Linux, on your Mac terminal, if you come here, I think it will not run. Okay, it's asking for password, but I don't think it will run because this apt. So let me press Ctrl C. Let me not use sudo, let me use apt, because sudo is why it's asking for password. If I use apt, just apt, see? The operation couldn't be completed, unable to locate Java runtime that supports apt. That's because I'm using a Mac. All right, if you go to the AWS and load a virtual machine with Ubuntu, it will work. Right, so some of these commands don't work with your Mac or Windows. But I don't know if that apt will work for Windows because I've not tried it on Windows. I don't know how it works. All right, but this pwd tells you where you are at the moment. If you keep using the cd to change directories, eventually you may not really know where you are. So pwd tells you, all right, you've navigated from user to Kingsley to desktop to Linux. That's where you are at the moment. It's like you checking Google, oh, which city I am, and it's telling you, oh, you're in Lagos, Nigeria. Oh, all right. So that's what pwd does. Then cd, we've talked about it, change directory, right? So this is how you go down and you run each of the command. Look at the image. Look at these, right? Like cd back, cd dot will take you back by 1. cd this will take you to the directory you were before. So if we do cd with hyphen, see, it takes me back to desktop. If I do it back, cd with hyphen, it takes me back to Linux. So it takes you back and forth, your last two directories. So just do well to read this. It's not a lot. It just has the main commands you will be using a lot. And some of them are not really necessary. Okay, I talk about the, what's it called? Nano, these commands. They are here. I told you I don't like to use them, right? I like to use code. Unfortunately, when I made this explanation, I had not written the code. The code, what's it called now? The code. I've not started using the code command. I used to use nano and vi alone. So let's see if I can edit it and put it here. All right. So Control F. Let's find nano. This next. This is it. So let's me add it here. Let me make it the second command. So what I'm doing right now doesn't concern you. I'm just editing my GitHub because I didn't use the code command initially. I think it's proper we use it. So I come here and put, oops, I need to put the star, and I call this code. And then what do I write here? The code command does what? It edits text documents with the VS Code editor. Basically, that's that. So I commit my change, and right now this is GitHub. So it has saved. If I scroll down now, where is it? As you can see, the apt command management tool on Debian based Linux. Okay, so Debian is Ubuntu. So I really don't know what the mark is, but just give me a moment. All right, it's here now. Code is here. So that's that. If you go through this repo, you'll be fine, and the link will be under the video.